Here we are in this week's assignments module, which are due Sunday, February 6th. This week's reading from the textbook is Chapter 1, the 19th Century. Now, during the 19th century, science and technology were applied to the graphic arts, and changes were dramatic and far-reaching in areas such as printing, papermaking, and typesetting. And the rise of the popular press helped to create a new industry, advertising, and with it, demands for new typefaces, design concepts, and high-speed printing. The end of the century also gave rise to an emerging profession, that of the graphic designer, as someone who brought structural order and visual form to printed communications. And here we can see some examples of Victorian graphic design, where the designers are organizing elements more effectively to communicate their message. Have a look at this week's lectures. William Morris was a pivotal figure in the history of design. Not only did he design books and typefaces, he was also an architect, textile designer, and writer. Have a look at this article on Morris's fabric designs, many of which are still produced and used in home interiors today. Lydia Pinkham was a middle-aged wife and mother who started out making home remedies in her kitchen for her family and friends, and became a national celebrity. Pinkham's advertisements, more than simply persuading women to buy the product, carried embedded messages about the world they lived in and their place in it. The idea of organizing visual content dates back to the origins of modern graphic design. In the 1920s, institutions such as the Bauhaus in Germany explored design as a universal, perceptually based language of vision, a concept that continues to shape design education today. This week, you'll work on your first bibliography and design and context assignment, where you will select a work of graphic design, such as a poster, a magazine cover, an advertisement, or something else, from the time period that is covered in this week's reading. Now, this week's reading is about Victorian graphic design and the arts and crafts movement. There are other stylistic movements during this time, but your example of graphic design must be something from Victorian graphic design. If you Google the 19th century graphic design, you'll come up with results that have nothing to do with this week's reading. So you're going to compile a bibliography for your graphic design example. If you haven't already done so, please have a look at the Research Tools page here in Canvas, which will be very helpful for you in completing your assignment. It has lots of tips and resources and tools for you to do the kind of research that you need to do for this assignment. So be sure to have a look at the Research Tools page. You're going to compile a bibliography, and then you're going to write a creative brief about this example of graphic design. And be sure that you're selecting a work of graphic design, not a work of art for your example. Frequently, the textbook examines art movements which have an influence on graphic design to help give you a background about the context in which the design work is created. But your assignment must focus on graphic design, not art. And use this brief as a checklist to include all of the required elements. First, you'll identify the work. Now, this week you may not find the designer's name, but you'll probably be able to find the printing company's name. because designers at this time weren't well known, so we don't really know the designer of most of the work from the Victorian period. But include the other elements. And then also you'll want to provide a brief biographical background of the designer, or in this case, the printing company. Again, you may not know the designer's name for this week's assignment. And then you'll describe the message of the piece and how it is conveyed. Sometimes the message is literal, but sometimes the message is symbolic or metaphorical. Then you'll describe the stylistic characteristics of your example that are similar to other design examples from this period. And some of the things that you'll want to consider are the use of line, color, balance, subject matter, and typography. And the idea is to discover the general stylistic characteristics of this time period. You may want to talk about some influences, such as historical styles or specific designers. And then you're going to find at least 2 historical connections which examine the work within the context of its time. And some of these examples might include a piece of music that was popular during this time, maybe a book that was popular, or maybe some political events that were happening during this time. That's what I mean by context. And then you'll post your image and bibliography to the discussion board. And this assignment doesn't need to be more than 1 page long. And then you'll respond to at least 2 of your colleagues' posts with either 1 additional historic event related to the design example or 1 additional image by the same designer or printing company. This assignment is worth 25 points. And just click this link, which will take you into the discussion board where you can post your assignment. And if you have a look at the rubric, you can see that you have an opportunity to earn extra credit. Also this week, you'll begin working on the conceptual phase of your museum exhibition project. You'll be working on this project all semester long, and this phase is not due until February 20th, so you have 4 weeks to work on it. So for your project that is due at the end of the semester, you'll be creating a museum exhibition on a specific topic of graphic design. So you'll need to look through the textbook in advance and find a topic or graphic designer that interests you, or perhaps come up with your own idea. An exhibition researches, communicates, and exhibits things and ideas for the purpose of education, study, and enjoyment. You'll select a topic and develop a concept, research images and write labels for each image, and then finally present your exhibition in the format that you have chosen. And you'll have 4 phases to work on. This is the first phase, where you come up with the exhibition topic and overview. Every exhibition must have a big idea of what the exhibition is about. And this idea helps to determine what information you want to convey to the visitor. The big idea provides the focus for the exhibition. And this stage is especially important for the success of the exhibition. You need to have a clear vision of what the exhibition is about and an enthusiasm for the subject. So take some time to research topics and subjects and have a clear proposal. Your concept and overview doesn't need to be more than 1 page long, but you'll be sure to include these considerations. I've also included links to examples of museum exhibition overviews from various types of museums to give you an idea of what these overviews are like. So be sure to have a look at some of these links. Here's one from the Metropolitan Museum of Art a few years ago. Here's the exhibition overview. It's only a few paragraphs long, but it's very clear about the goals of the exhibition. So be sure to have a look at these various examples of museum exhibition overviews so you have a clear idea of what those are about. I've also included a bibliography this week with links to various topics that are covered in this week's reading. So again, this week you're going to begin working on the conceptual phase of the museum exhibition project. That is not due until February 20th. So you have plenty of time to work on that. You'll be working on your first bibliography and design and context assignment, which is due this week. Have a look at these lectures. And read Chapter 1 in the textbook on the 19th century. If you have any questions, be sure to email me. Otherwise, have fun learning about Victorian graphic design and the arts and crafts movement.